Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Sunday Social. I was just about to say that. Sam, Civir, and Shreyas alongside me. Before we get into the curse of Old Trafford, the Ashley Young penalty, the Bruno disrespects, the post-match comments, and the sprinkle of transfer news, before we get into that, I do want to ask you, lads, there's a couple of games on today. Newcastle Forest is going to be an interesting one. You've got Man City and Liverpool as well. Shreyas, I'm going to go to you first because you're in your tribal mode at the minute in your Indian cricket shirt. What do you think? Games today? Predictions?
I think City might actually win it today against Liverpool. I think City might get the job done, and I think against Newcastle and Forest, I think Forest will win it.
Interesting. Arsenal dropping points yesterday, Civir. Title gone.
Injected in my veins, man.
Yeah, man.
I did something really terrible yesterday. After our game, I was driving because I was sorry. I was somewhere. Anyway, I had my phone and I could see like the chat. I was driving and I could just see in my friend's chat, one of them just said title over, and I was just screaming in the car. I was just like, yes, because I knew at that point West Ham had scored or something had happened. But yeah, I think it might be a draw today. To be honest, I'm not sure Liverpool will capitalize. I think it might just end up being like a draw. I think they have a really bad record away at Etihad. It will be too big to ask for them to win today. Like it's just too much to ask for them. I think it might be a draw.
Sam, what's your thoughts on this title race at the moment? Champions League kind of race because it's heating up in it.
I think the title race is over. It's Liverpool's to lose. So unless they go on a catastrophic thing and all the wheels fall off, it's probably their title at this point. The Champions League's one's interesting. I think Arsenal nailed on. I think they're probably getting it. And then the other four, it's possibly could be five, apparently, like with the way the thingies work. Apparently it's 5 positions. So you've got like a bunch of people in the race for that. Chelsea, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Villa, maybe. So yeah, you've got a lot of interesting parties in it. I think Liverpool absolutely paced City today. I think they battered them.
You think it paced them?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think they absolutely destroy them today.
Interesting.
I think they put a marker down and like, it's our turn now. So
if they do that
happens,
I think that's when it's game over. That's
definitely done. They win today. That's it.
Yeah. And then Forest and Newcastle is going to be interesting, man, because Forest up and down, like they have some really good moments, and then they just have these weird things where they get battered by Bournemouth 6-7-0. Like it's just bizarre. And then Newcastle look really good at times, and other times they'll drop points. So that's interesting. That one, that I can't call that one at all. Like that could be really interesting.
No idea in it. Because I think Forest, they slapped Brighton 7-0, but then they lost 5-0 to Bournemouth, didn't they?
Bournemouth.
Was it? Yeah. So you're like, oh, okay. And then Newcastle, like you see them beat some bit, like dominate Arsenal in the cup, for example. And then other games you watch them, they get beat at home to West Ham, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? That's why when we do Premier League predictions, it's so fucking impossible to predict. In the games this weekend, Arsenal losing to West Ham at home, I would have never, ever had on my bingo card, as well as a few other ones.
Spurs just absolutely smashed Ipswich as well at home. 4-1. And they look good. And you're like, where's that come from? How's that happened? Like
madness. It's really, really bizarre this season in the Premier League. Even more bizarre when you look at United's position, where we are, I mean, what, we're 16th, 15th at the minute, something like that. So we can't be talking about titles or Champions League or even the Conference League. We're not even close to that. If we had the, dare I say, the privilege to be close to that. It's not looking great at the minute, is it, lads? We have to call a spade, and that's kind of what I want to kick things off with, the curse of Old Trafford, if you will. Now, I've had a look at the players that have left, let's say, in the past couple of years. We all know them, right? We all know the names. And just had a look at a couple of statistics. And I just think it's interesting to kind of dive into the conversation why these players are flourishing elsewhere and not at Manchester United. And some people might have the obvious answers. Some people might have a bit more of a niche one. If there is anyone in the comment section, then please do get involved. But, for example, right, Antony Elanga, we just speak about Nottingham Forest versus Newcastle there. Since leaving United, right, obviously he's been doing really, really well at Forest. Last season had relatively decent statistics. This season so far, he's got 11 goal involvements in the Premier League for Forest, which has already equalled what he did last season for them. He is someone, Shreyas, at the moment, is it a case of just the environment, do you think? Change of environment? Or do you think we should have stuck with him at United?
I think the change of scenery has helped him a lot because even during his first season at Nottingham Forest, I think he got like 10 or 11 assists and a couple of goals. That was it. And I would say if he did the same at United, I don't think people would be as delighted, because when you're at United, they expect more. They expect like bare minimum 25 to 20, 30 goal contributions as a winger at this club. And for Elanga, it's been a safer environment for him to develop in. And even when he has had bad games, at Forest, he has had that, I would say, cushion that even if he's not pulling trees apart on the pitch, he's still going to be playing week in and week out. So putting that sort of safety and time into that player who's obviously very, very young, that confidence has paid off, and now he's doing a heck of a job at Nottingham Forest. And that's why I think even at the start of this season, Newcastle were interested in signing him for around 50 or 55 mil. So he's doing bits over at Nottingham Forest, and now that they are third in the league, he has got a massive role in that front three. I think it's Callum Hudson-Odoi and Chris Wood and Elanga. Elanga and Chris Wood are a very good duo up top, and they cause a lot of trouble to opposition teams. So it's been working out well for him, but I think the only way it would have worked out for him was by moving on from United, because I think even if he had stuck at United at that time, Rashford had that 41 goal contribution season. Garnacho was still, just coming through the ranks. We just signed Antony for around 80 to 85 mil, and Ten Hag didn't really favor anyone else on that right-hand side. So Elanga really wouldn't have gotten any game time in that squad. So I think it was a good move for him, and the position that he is in, I think he deserves to be where he's at.
I think you make an intelligent observation there. I see what you did. You said pulling up trees, and we were speaking about Nottingham Forest. I can see what you very, very smart. Scott McTominay, Civir, someone else who I think he was a bit of an advocate. I don't want to speak for you, but you was kind of 50-50 on if you wanted to stay, or maybe you did actually want him to stay. Since joining Napoli, 10 goal involvements for them this season. He's absolutely killing it in Italy. Not only that, his actual performances in general as well. Is that another case of, it's just a United player going to Italy, it always works out? Or do you think, because he was doing it for United as well, wasn't he? So did we make the wrong decision letting him go?
It's a tough one, really, especially with McTominay. Possibly it was the right decision in the long term, going forward. Like, especially with the manager we have now, I don't think he would have had. Right now, maybe he would have played ahead of Højlund, possibly.
Yeah.
But McTominay is not a striker, right? So he's a midfielder, and I think with what we're trying to do in the midfield, he doesn't really fit the profile. So yes, it was the right decision. Obviously, it doesn't look good. Well, I won't say it doesn't look good. Obviously, it's, I mean, if we're flying, if we're doing really well, then we wouldn't really bother. But the fact that we're suffering now, and someone else is over there scoring goals, then it kind of looks, maybe it's a bad decision. We should have kept him and blah, blah, blah. I think we have to be able to look at the big picture. And I think regardless of, I'm happy he's doing well, but regardless, going forward, it was the right decision. I don't remember how much they paid for him. Did we get any significant amount?
25 mil. It was.
I thought 30.
Yeah.
It was 25 with add-ons.
Right. Okay. So we got some profit there. So not so bad. And yeah, I think also it's not just a case of everyone. It's not a perfect case of people leave and then they go and do better. Like, I think there's certain scenarios and certain situations where players can go to another club and the pattern just fits them, right? Like, you look at Antony, you look at Elanga, for example. He's a very direct player. He's not a dynamic player. He fits the Nottingham Forest system. Bang on, it's perfect for him. He could have gone to Sunderland and be crap or something, who knows? But I think it's just one of those ones where I like to look at these situations in isolation. And I think for all of them, it's been great. And I hope Antony plays well and we get money for him. I hope, I wish we got more money for Scott McTominay, and it's just one of those ones. But also, Nick, I think you made a really good point in the chat yesterday about the pressure of, we can't ignore the pressure of playing for Man United. Like, there's big pressure there. The scrutiny is like times 12. It's worse than anything you ever know. It's one of the, it's a high pressure situation. So, yeah, I think that also comes into play as well.
Well, arguably, Sam, the biggest example of this is Antony, innit? Who's gone to, he was, everyone had, the 99% of the fan base had completely written him off and say, what an awful buy it was. And it still is that case. It is still a terrible, terrible purchase. But he goes over to Real Betis, 3 goals and 1 assist in 5 games plus 2 man of the match performances. And it's like, he's starting to show himself a bit again. He's starting to, this is becoming a theme every single time we sell a player, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Antony is a weird case because he came in for 80 plus million, massive wages. We overpaid for him, and Ajax, I've self-admittedly, Van der Sar said they've took the piss in getting that price because they said they were on the phone and they just kept putting the price up to see how much we would pay. And they've admitted that. So that was the starting point. So he had to come in and be the next coming of Jesus Christ, didn't he? When you pay 85 million or something, he had to be the guy, and he just wasn't. And then on top of that, I think he's a pretty average player on top of that. But if he would have come in for 20 million, like Dan James money or something, I think we'd all be like, it's not really worked. It's not too that great. Cool. Let's just move it on. But the fact that he came in for the money that he did and the wages that he was on, and Ten Hag was so desperate to get him, and we kept pushing and pushing and pushing. We were all expecting this player who was going to turn into a superstar, and it didn't happen. And I think that made the sort of downfall the worst. It was a similar thing happened to Alexis Sanchez, didn't it? Oh, we got a player from under City's nose, paid these big wages. He was great at Arsenal, and it didn't work and turned out to be one of the worst signings we've ever done. And I think you could go to Betis, and Chivy makes an important point. At United, the pressure is not like nothing else. Nothing else at any club in the world. Like, you come to play for United, you are under the microscope 24 hours a day, every minute on the pitch, every single second, everything is judged, pulled apart, criticised.
Yeah.
And it's just most players can't handle it. And he clearly can't. He's gone to Betis, less of a spotlight, slightly slower league. I think it's a more technical league, but it's a slightly slower league. He's self-admitted, he said the lifestyle suits him, sunshine, like players like that. And it's a better environment for him, and he's showing a better side of him. Like we saw at Ajax, he was a better player because of the environment he was in, and there was less pressure. No offense to Ajax, they're a big club in their own right, but they're not Man United, and neither are Betis. So that's where he's at. So Elanga's the same thing. The pressure was too much. He thrives on a counter-attack system, which is what Forest are playing, and you've seen the results of that. So he can go out and play without pressure. And I think that's the biggest thing. Players come to United have to deal with the pressure. And most players we've recruited can't handle it. And I don't think I think Bruno is probably the only one. And even he sometimes goes under with it. But I think every player we've recruited post-Fergie cannot handle the pressure of being at United. Like, I can't name one.
Well, you've had other examples as well. I mean, Rashford last night got 2 assists for Asensio at Aston Villa, looked sharp on the ball. De Gea seems to be doing relatively well at Fiorentina. Wan-Bissaka's doing okay at West Ham. Do you think Ineos are trying to change this narrative, Shreyas, to relieve that pressure almost? Because one, there's a lot of young players at the club currently at the minute, right? And obviously young players suffer more than experienced ones when it comes to pressure. But then not only that as well, you're seeing things like they're trying to get away from the past of, like, not get away that, we've won stuff, which is amazing, but to kind of keep referencing it and have that kind of nostalgia there, because that's almost creates its own pressure in the sense that, we won the treble. And you're thinking, to be fair, that was, 25 years ago? Nearly. Like, football has completely changed now. And you're seeing these things coming out of Ineos, like, we don't want to talk about that. We want to focus on the future. And they're trying to break down these narratives. And I don't know if you get that same feeling.
I think in a way they do, but also I think on the same hand, they're trying to, I would say, since that treble, United's image in the transfer window and, in negotiations with other clubs has taken a very, very massive fall. And almost every single club, takes United for the taking when it comes to negotiations by driving the price for like 15 by 25 million up more. And we ultimately end up paying it. So I think in this summer window, I think they did move away from that sort of analogy. They did try to, make United much better when it came to negotiating for players. When you look at Euro, when you look at the Ugarte deal, moving away from the Branthwaite deal when they did, I've never seen United do that. Because even when we did, actually walk out on players, we ended up signing them, 2 or 3 years down the line for the same fee, for the same inflated price, and we didn't really bring in anyone else in their positions. So in that aspect, Ineos have worked quite well. The problem has just been the amount of work that needs to be done at this club, especially when you look at the team. It is a lot of work that is still that still needs to be done. I think even if you want some kind of stability back into this team, you are 5 to 6 players short right now because of the manager change and because of the complete system and formation change. I think you need a lot more reinforcements, not just when you look at the younger the youngsters at the club, but even when you look at the experience. I think that is an area where we're completely lacking, because when you look at leaders at this club who actually play for you week in and week out, there's only Bruno. Other than that, when you look at players to look up to, or players who can absorb the pressure in games when you're not doing quite well and then somehow get you a decent result, I think we are lacking those sort of personalities in this team. And that is an area where Ineos do need to explore a lot more in the summer window.
Well, you just spoke about players then, Chivis, that have gone off and done better, but then at the same time, to kind of throw it back and play devil's advocate, do you not want players who can deal with pressure?
No, you do. You definitely do. But I don't know what your question.
No,
really
I'm saying
is
because we're
getting
saying,
at.
oh, well, they're going off and they're performing and doing. Look at Elanga, for example. But it's like, well, if they can't cut it at United and handle the pressure, and then they go elsewhere, does it really matter? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I kind of get it. But apart from the pressure as well, maybe some of them were just not good enough. Like Elanga, probably, I would say it wasn't my United level. I don't know what our level is now.
Yeah.
Well, they're third in the league, aren't they, or whatever, and we're 17th.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever, so.
Yeah.
So that could be true, but just from another angle. But yeah, maybe some of these guys weren't just good enough.
If you could take any of them back, would you? The ones that have gone
right now, yeah, I'll take Scott McTominay, or I'll take. I don't know if this is the thing. If I like the way Rashford looks now, but if we take him back, does he then go back to United Rashford, or does he stay as Aston Villa Rashford?
That's what I mean.
If,
just bring him back in a Villa
thing.
kit and put him on the pitch and see what happens. That's what I say.
If we could do that, right, then I'd be more than happy with that. If we could tattoo the Villa colours on him and then just
like Schofield in Prison Break.
Exactly, and then just put a Man United shirt on him so he thinks it's I don't know. I don't know what we
make
get.
our next season's kit, just make it claret and blue, and just convince him he's still at Villa next year.
Yeah, but then again, we have to be careful because we have to give it time. So Antony's first few games for us, he was amazing as well.
Yeah.
His first 3 games, he scored and whatever. When Sancho went to Chelsea, the first couple of games, he was great, played really well. Rashford has played a couple of games. Just give it time. Let's see what happens. If maybe he gets tired, maybe when he gets comfortable. Who knows? We don't know. We can't really say for sure if it's a bad move or not. But just back to your question about pressure. Yeah, I mean, we would all expect that the players we have here know where they are, understand the level that they're playing at, and have the balls to actually step up to the plate. That's what we all hope for. But then certain things happen, like the environment is toxic, and then people kind of lose this ability. People kind of get swayed. It's a combination of things. I think playing for United, every player that comes here always says, it's great to play for a good club and everything. If everything is in harmony and everything is great, then yeah, it'll be easy. But then now, with everything that's happening, I mean, if you like a tweet about KFC, fans will read something into it. Like,
Well, it's like off McDonald's, are you? What
exactly, yeah. As a player, like, you really can't do anything. You have to literally just don't do anything. Don't go anywhere. Don't eat anything. Don't let anyone see you because you're supposed to be in training. Oh, why are you smiling when we're 16th? Like, you shouldn't be smiling. That kind of stuff. So it's the environment that actually adds to that. But yeah, I mean, I would hope we have players who can step up to the mark. Sometimes it's good to ride these bad moments and kind of, just gain experience from it. Maguire hasn't been great now, but after what he's been through, he has put in some decent performances and comebacks. So sometimes maybe just persevere and go through it.
I feel like narratives at United can change so easily. So, for example, you mentioned Maguire there. Like a couple months ago, some of the performances he was putting in at Arsenal, at Anfield, and things like this, it looked really, really good. yesterday I thought he was had a bit of a fucking nightmare, to be honest with you, in a lot of periods in the game. I thought even the past couple of weeks he's had games where I'm just like, I'm not a fan. And that's why people go, oh, but he was all praising him the last couple of weeks. Yeah, because he was playing good. Football is a case of form a lot of the times. And people will be in form, and then, you know, a couple of months later they could be putting in absolute stinkers and just look like the complete opposite of players. So I think the point that you make about time is really important, because the people were doing the same thing about Jadon Sancho, for example. As soon as he was at Chelsea, it was like, I can't believe he sold him for 25 mil. Chelsea fans were raving.
Yeah.
He had a couple of good games.
Yeah.
Same thing at Dortmund happened as well. He put in a good performance for Dortmund in the Champions League. You weren't familiar with his game. Fucking never saw him again after that, basically. So time is very, very important. But we're not just talking about young players here, Sam. Older players are struggling with the pressure. Look at Onana, for example. Probably the best goalkeeper in the Champions League before we bought him. Well, I think he went down as the goalkeeper of the competition, right? Was incredible for Inter Milan.
He made the 11, I think. He was the chosen
team of the season,
He was unbelievable. And
he kept Inter in the final for a long time. Before City took Joel, he him in it for a while, because Lukaku was missing a bunch of open gilt chances, wasn't it? And
Onana in that final. Oh my god.
Onana was keeping him in it. If it weren't for him, they probably would have been battered in the first half.
But then this is, you know, he's 28 years old. He's been around the block, played for Ajax, came through Barcelona's academy, I think, as well. Played for Inter Milan. Big clubs. Comes to United, and you look at the amount of howlers he's made around 17 individual mistakes that have led to goals so far with the club.
Yep.
And he's been here 2 seasons. That is pressure, innit?
Yeah. The pressure's showing. It's been historic. Goalkeeper at United has been a problem position for years. Since me and Chivy were watching it, obviously me and Chivy were born in the 80s. So all we really know is Fergie. We just know Ferguson. That's all we know. Schmeichel came in, and he was the guy for however many years. He was the guy. As soon as he left, we struggled to find a goalie to fit his shoes. How many goalies did we go through, Chivy? About 5, 6?
Yeah, but I think Van der Sar kind of steadied the ship a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We went Barthez, Howard, Carroll, Bosnich, Taibbi.
What's that Polish guy again?
Kuszczak.
What's the Polish guy? Kuszczak, yeah.
Kuszczak. Yeah. Thomas Kuszczak.
Had a bunch of players, none of them really worked. And then Van der Sar came in, and we're like, okay, here's the guy. But we got him when he was 37, 38 or something. So he wasn't here that long. It's always been a problem position. And then David De Gea came in. Do you remember how shaky David De Gea looked in his first season? Just looked like this guy's not the guy. Fergie's fucked up here. He's got the wrong player.
Those first 2 games, man. Everyone just licking shots. I mean, literally just going through his fingers.
Yeah. And he was getting bullied on corners and stuff. He was too skinny, all these things. And then became one of the best goalkeepers in Europe shortly afterwards, one of the best shot stoppers in the world. So the goalkeeper's always been an issue for United. Without Van der Sar and Schmeichel, it's always been a problem position every fucking time. So I think the pressure of that is telling. I think his technique sometimes doesn't help him at all. The way he parries the ball out, and he just parries it straight into the 6-yard box, into danger. He could help himself, push it out, let it go for a corner. I know we're shit at corners, but you could reset your defense and go again. If you just parry it into your 6-yard box, you're just asking for danger. You really are. You're just asking for trouble. And then, the howlers, maybe that is the pressure getting to him, just letting simple things slip through. Remember the Champions League campaign in his first year, just cost us that. And then, there's been a couple that could well be the pressure, but he's not helping himself with his technique sometimes. I think his technique is flawed, and I don't think he's being coached that, because I think most goalkeeper coaches would go, if you get the ball, either try and catch it or palm it away from the goal, try and get it away from the goal, corner or wherever. So he's not helping himself there. But maybe the pressure is getting to him. And maybe the lack of leaders thing we've spoken about. He probably feels he has to take it upon himself to be a leader, because he is a more senior player. He is a more experienced player, because in front of him, he's got the likes of Yoro, not very experienced, Garnacho, Kobe Mainu, those kind of guys. And he feels like he has to be a leader, and he's putting that added pressure on himself. I've seen his comments in games, blame me, don't blame the young players, I could take it.
Well, I'm going to fucking blame you, you're making the mistakes that you're making.
But then he's adding pressure onto himself and taking things, which again, but if you had a bunch of leaders in that team, you had some Roy Keanes, you had some Paul Scholes, you had some people like that, he wouldn't have to do that, and he could just focus on his game. But we don't have any. We literally have nobody. And that's the result of it.
I think that was a prime example last night, wasn't it? The just the parrying of the shot straight back into the path, which he literally did a couple of weeks ago as well. And I want to discuss the events of the game in a second, but just before I do that, just quickly, a quick round of questions to use. Well, not a round of questions, just one quick fire if we can. Onana going forward, Shreyas, yes or no? Or
No.
if we could sell him in the summer, would you sell him?
Yeah, I'll sell him.
Chiver? Have you seen enough? Are you willing to be more patient? You ready?
Yeah, I think I'm ready to replace him. I don't know if I'm ready for another number one. Yeah.
Sam?
Is it, if we got rid of him, does that mean another position would have to be neglected?
No, let's just say in isolation, if we can go get a keeper in the summer and we could sell him, would you do
as
it?
well as like we could do all the other priority positions like yeah, I would.
Yeah.
But if it means sacrificing one of those other positions, then no.
Okay,
Yeah.
so and if it was one of those other,
I think strikers key. Like we need an experienced goal scorer.
top.
I think we need a midfielder, a ball carrier. I think that needs to happen, and then we need a right fullback. So if I had to get rid of one of those, then no, I'd keep hold of him. If I get rid of one of those positions.
Why does it feel like, lads, after every season that we have, we're naming 5 positions that need filling? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like every season we need a centre back, we need a centre mid, we need a striker, basically the full spine of a team. Then you need other positions around it. I know people have to recruit every summer, but usually it should be around 2-3 positions max. We need about 6, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, is it possible? I mean, not to let the players off at all, or not to like be excusable, but especially within the last 2 seasons, like we know the difficulties we face with Ten Hag and how our approach to games kind of exposed certain players and how it made it easy for teams to attack. And then, not unfortunately, but then it just so happens that we have Amorim with a completely different style.
Yeah.
That the players are still trying to adapt to. So that could also be, I mean, if we had Thomas Tuchel come in, right, I think maybe we wouldn't be suffering this much because he has I would imagine that his style of football is more adaptable to the sort of players we
it's
have.
more flexible.
Even though he's not probably the long-term sort of candidate like how Amorim is. I mean, eventually we will get it right with Amorim. And then we'll look more assured. But then is it possible that just coming from that Ten Hag situation and then coming to this completely different scenario with Amorim, where sometimes it looks easy for people to just bypass our midfield, it possibly could be that as well. It's not necessarily that they are absolute crap, although they are terrible in certain situations. But then it could just be the fact that we've gone from one crazy system to another. Is it possible? Is that possible?
That definitely doesn't help. Like it doesn't help, does it? Like going from we went from Ollie, which is counter-attacking football, to Ragnick, who is high press, pushing all the thing, and then we went to Ten Hag, which is this transitional, chaotic football, and now we're going to a back 3 with wing backs in an Amorim. So it's just like different style, different style. It's just like there's no consistency there. There's none.
Exactly. And you see with Van Nistelrooy, like he played safe. So I'm sure a lot of managers can come in and just play safe, just set us up 2 banks of 4 when we're off the ball, and then just try and just survive. I'm sure there's a lot of managers.
But then what progress would you get from that if you started doing that now? That's the tricky balance in it, trying to do you stop it now? I got to a point yesterday when he got to half time at the Everton game, genuinely, and I think I even put it in the chat. I was like, he's got to. And I know it might be detrimental to think it, but right now, you'd be fucking craving results because each position, I didn't realise each position in the Premier League is worth like a couple of million, like £2 to £4 million. So like, it's like, do you just keep sacrificing and just hope? Obviously, we're probably not going to get relegated. I wouldn't say definitely not, but we're probably not going to get relegated, right? So it's like, okay, we could deal with that, see what happens in Europe and the FA Cup, and then we go into next season. But I don't know. It's just, I think even with Tuchel, for example, like you mentioned him as a coach, the difference is Tuchel at Chelsea, he had Ben Chilwell as a wing back, who was unbelievable. He had a fit Reece James, who was unbelievable. They was putting out better output than the likes of Messi and Neymar at PSG. They had
Fernando Alonso as well.
Yeah,
It's really good.
Marcus
That
Marcus
position.
Alonso, you're on about, aren't you?
Marcus
the wing
Alonso,
back.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a fully fit Mount who was tearing it up, double figures in goals and assists as well. Like he had players that suit Rudiger, unbelievable centre back, especially in a back three, commanding.
Christensen alongside him looked quite decent.
Yeah, Christensen, was Thiago Silva there at that point?
Yeah, Thiago Silva
I
was
think it was, yeah.
So
That's
he's
true.
coming into a player where you've got a wealth of experience, you've got players who actually suit it. Amarin's coming into here, he's like Dallo at wing back. Like, are you shitting me? You know? Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's night and day for me, and that's why the quality of the players does have a lot to do with it, but also I think he can tweak certain things. I don't know what that is. Like, none of us have our coaching licenses, but I think there's something that needs to be done there. Because you are watching other teams. Like, for example, sorry, I know I'm waffling on, but I watched that team yesterday, yeah? Are Everton's team better than us, or are they just more organised? Do they work harder?
They were more organised.
They're more organised. They work harder.
I think their football IQ is better than ours as well. I think a lot of our players' football IQ is terrible.
As a whole, like, that's what I mean. Like, they know when to press, they can cover distance, they know when to sit in. Like,
decision making
principles.
Their decision making, they know when to, like you said, they know the triggers, when to press, when to not. They know what happens when you defend in a corner. They all have an idea of what to do. Our players just don't seem to have a clue when it comes to these things. They just, like that example of the first goal, and we're trying to head the ball out. It's just fucking chaos. There's just like no organization. There's no idea of what we're supposed to be doing. Everybody's just trying to get ahead on it and get it out. And it's just like, fucking organize yourselves. Like, sort it out. And there isn't anything. There's nothing.
Let's stick with.
But I think,
go on.
go on. I was just going to say very quickly. I'm sorry, we're waffling on about it. I think also, like, players, I think teams can smell blood. Like, when they start playing, and I think that they can kind of smell the apprehension in our team. And Everton, we kind of allowed Everton get into that position where they knew all they needed to do was just get that first goal and then just focus. And then also the way we approach the game is just easy for these other teams to play. Like, I noticed it. What was the game we played before Everton? Tottenham game. Literally, he put Kulusevski on one side, and then I don't remember the Son on one side, and just pinned the wing backs
completely.
Just pin them, and then you had the three people in the middle, and then all Tel had to do was just drop in, and then we just have an extra man running through, and it was just like, I'm not supposed to see this, but I'm fucking seeing it. But anyway, I was just saying this in regards to we saying Everton, their players and ours, and sometimes it's just easy for them to adapt. But I think, just to end this, I think if once the players kind of get the idea of what the manager is trying to do, because I know that this system can be devastating to other teams.
But it has to be perfectly done in order for it to work.
And you have to have the right players to do it.
Yeah. This is what I'm trying to say.
It needs specialist players,
I get he's trying to do it, but it's so painful at the minute with the group of players that he's got. It's like, I can't see past that because I'm so frustrated with how we're playing. I'm so frustrated how they're applying themselves on the pitch. It's difficult to see through that in a minute, and a lot of fans feel the same.
You can see how good and how dangerous the system is. If you look at that Sporting Lisbon game against City, in that first half, they were like, where's this Ruben Amorim Sporting team? Come out the second half, and they took City apart. Like, destroyed them within about 10 minutes, I think. Just absolutely tore them apart. That's how devastating. If he gets the system right, that's how devastating the system is.
You can even see with Dogu yesterday. You could just with Dogu, the exchanges he was having with Bruno. If he had another intelligent, like when Garnacho came, there was
on the other side.
Yeah, you have just one more intelligent player up front there that has that chemistry with your wing back, and then that's it. Goals change games. You just need that one goal, and it changes the whole game completely.
So, I think the one thing he'll have to adapt to and get used to, the Portuguese league in comparison to the Premier League, the tempo and pressure is a lot different. So that in itself can have some sort of after effect on the system that you're trying to implement,
Also, the lower teams in the Portuguese league aren't as good as the lower teams in the Premier League.
Not at all.
Like, you look at the lower teams in the Premier League, we're looking at Brighton, Bournemouth, Villa, Brentford. They're all above us, and they all play better football than us, and they're all pushing for Europa League places. And these are on teams with less budget and less thing, and they're all absolutely destroying it. You look at the Portuguese league, there's maybe about 4 good teams. Sporting, Porto,
Benfica,
Braga, and Benfica. That's about it. Everybody else is pretty dog shit. Really, like, they're not great. you look at our top league, Ipswich play great football. Wolves play great football and got Cunha in the team. He's a fantastic player. The only team in the Premier you look at and go, they're not that great, is Southampton. Everybody else is pretty fucking good teams.
Yeah.
Really good teams.
Yeah, it's high level of competition in it. The translation from Portugal can always be interesting, but I do think a lot of the times it does work. You look at players that come over from there. Bruno Fernandes being a big example we'll talk about in a second. It's replicated. So it's not to say that Amorim can't do it just because he's come from Portugal, but it is a completely different league. But on Bruno Fernandes, Shreyas, I brought him into today's Sunday Social because I do think, look, there's things with him that we all know that we can be unhappy with, right? Is petulance. Some of us don't think he's a leader. Some of us don't think some of us don't think he's captain. Let's just say, for example, because he can be over emotional, right? Which I agree with. But if you're looking at it from a raw statistical output, right? So in all competitions for United, he's played 270 matches, 89 goals, and 80 assists, right? So that's like decent. And if he continues on that trajectory, he's going to be breaking records like Frank Lampard, for example, with Chelsea, who played I think he got 200 goals and 100 odd assists. So looking at it since he's come in purely, if we didn't have Bruno in this team, and I know he has his other things that he isn't great at, I take all of them with it, right? But you look at yesterday, without him, and there's been a lot of games like that, we would be absolutely fucked, wouldn't we?
I think you can bring perhaps any other player into the fold. Like if we didn't have Bruno and some other 10 who's doing relatively all right in any other league, and we put him into this United setup, I don't think they'll be able to function at all, because there is no chemistry, there is no coordination. And another thing that really hurts Bruno is there is no safety cushion behind him. Like if he loses out on the ball, and there is this thing in the back of there is this thing in the back of his mind as well, that if I don't get that pass right, and if they win the ball and go on the counter, I'm going to concede a chance. So with so many reservations, it becomes even harder for a number 10 to actually work, especially when that number 10 is the only player who can actually get us a goal or any goal involvement in a game. So the pressure on Bruno has been high, not just this season, but even last season. Ever since that he's come, the pressure has always been high. And barring that one season under Oli when he had, I would say, a better setup, because players were working relatively okay and we had a very good momentum going on. After that season, it's always been chaotic, whether it's Ten Hag, whether it's Ragnick, whether it's even...
But on that, Shreyas, did you not think... Sorry to interrupt you. Did you not think United almost thrive on chaos because of the players that they do have?
Yeah, they do. And I think over the years, it's become a sort of way where it's the only way for us to get results. Disrupt we don't really have a rhythm set right now.
Create a storm.
Yeah, but disrupt the other team's rhythm as well. That's what Ten Hag did against Barcelona. He put Weghorst in the 10.
That's what I was saying. Is he doing it on purpose? I felt like because we couldn't score, it's like, fuck this. I'm just going to create a storm because we'll get chances out of it. And if it goes the wrong way, it goes the wrong way. If it goes the right way, it goes the right way.
Yeah, and I doubt that any other center attacking mid, if you bring them into this team in 250 games, they get around 170 goal contributions in this team, considering the way we've been playing. I don't think any other player can replicate those sort of stats, because I think in this team it is very difficult to come through with 25 to 27 goal contributions every single season.
Yeah.
So I think credit where it's due to Bruno Fernandes, and I think he does fit the system. I think his better position definitely is as a 10, but if you pair him alongside someone like an Ugarte, he can work quite well in that deep lying position as well, because you need someone who can eliminate his weaknesses as that deep lying playmaker. If you put anyone else beside him, whether it's Collier, whether it's Meno, whether it's Casemiro or Eriksen, it's not going to work. So you need to be very careful as to who you actually put him up against. If it's as a 10, Ahmad really works well as a duo with him. If it's as a deep lying playmaker, Ugarte works really well. But I think we need to maximize, his effectiveness.
Amorim said after the game yesterday, Chivi, about Bruno, said he's really important in any position that he plays. He's the guy that can sometimes, in the hardest moments, hold the ball, and that is really important for the team. He's a leader. He scored the first goal and helped us get a point. When you see him yesterday drop back into that kind of central midfield position and play as well as he did, does it baffle you a little bit? Because I was saying on the review of the match yesterday after it that I've watched him in that position before against Arsenal or against the other Spurs. I think was another one as well where he was shocking in that position. But you watched him yesterday and he was really good. So that's another kind of issue with him as well, and it can be inconsistent at times.
Yeah, there's a bit of inconsistency there, and I've always felt that his best position for us in the system is one of the two midfielders.
Yeah.
And not the 10, because if we have an attacking player, it's better. We need somebody on the ball with Bruno's sort of creativity and awareness and all that kind of stuff. But then, just very quickly, when you put in the agenda for today's chat today, and one of the reasons why I really wanted to come on was because of Bruno as well. Because I was thinking about this yesterday. I mean, I'm probably one of his biggest critics.
Yeah.
As far as in the team, but you cannot deny the fact that this guy comes clutch when we need him to. Always does. Like it does. Always does. Comes clutch. Even if he plays a stinker against the Arsenal, he was rubbish. He still gave us that goal. He crashed the box and scored. This is what happens. This is when you have this is why you need some certain players, and you can criticize them all you want. And I'm one of the first to hold my hands up in certain situations like this, because I was thinking about this yesterday. I was like, he scored the goal and it was from his corner. Bugatti actually crashes in and then gets that as well. So sometimes these players this is why some of these players are frustrating, is because you can never 1 second that they're amazing and then you just expect them to do the basics and then they're just they just completely just throw it away. But Bruno deserves it. I think when he does bad, yes, we can criticize him, but then when he steps up the way he does, I think he deserves to be. I mean, he definitely deserves to receive his flowers, and we need to appreciate him and stuff. But just back to his position, I think he's better in the 2. And if you look at his best seasons with us, is when he had proper players around him.
Yeah.
Rashford was performing at the time. When him and Pogba played, it was. I mean, Pogba was probably the happiest person then, because the spotlight wasn't on him anymore. It was Bruno. He could just take it easy. I remember, I think it was it Burnley we played it 2-0, and all Pogba did was just pass the ball there. He was just having fun. Didn't even get involved that much, and Bruno was just running things, and Rashford scored. And so you have players around him, like when Cavani played as well. Cavani there was a certain sort of. But then now when you have
Everton goal stands out with me.
Yeah, you've got Dallo, and then you put him around players that are kind of average, and he kind of just sucks him into that. But I think if you surround him with when he goes away to Portugal, he doesn't mess about. He's not on the ball all the time. He understands the runs. He plays for 1 half and he scores 2 goals, or he's assists twice. He plays just half the game, and you surround him with players that are similar level to him, and you thrive. And then if you put him in the middle of crap, he just becomes crap as well.
Sam, if we do return to glory-winning days and we win titles and Champions Leagues, if we ever return to that point, do you think people will reflect upon this period as Bruno being the light in the tunnel that led us through that?
I think he's going to be the player in the in-between. There was a couple of players just when Fergie came in who were important in his first season, but then he ended up getting rid of them, and then he built his team with the class of '92 and Cantona and whoever. If you look at Paul McGrath and Norman Whiteside and stuff, they were part of that early team and they were important, but
Paul Ince as well.
Paul Ince, another one.
Yeah.
They weren't Fergie's players to when he built the next great United team. And I think Bruno's going to be that. There's a couple of players who've played for the club in the last sort of 10 years or so who will look back on with fondness, but weren't part of the future title winning team or the championship, the Champions League wins that we hopefully get and stuff like that. But it'll be remembered fondly in a sort of darker period. And I think we'll just all be a bit gutted that he never got to lift a title with us, or he never got to lift the Champions League with us. Because if you drop it into a Fergie team, I think he's one of our most important players. And then if going forward, if we do end up winning titles and stuff like that, you just think, oh, imagine if we had Bruno in this team. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he'll be one of those guys, unfortunately. Like, he's just come to United. He's the right player at the wrong time. That's who Bruno is. He's come to United at the wrong time, but he's the right player. Like, he's the right mentality. He fights for the badge. He gives a shit as well. I know people whinge about his moaning and his petulance, but he cares. Like, when we lost that FA Cup final, the photo of him crying in the stands, like, he's sat on the stairs, devastated. Like, he gives a shit. And he gets it as well. Like, you see him when the sort of kids who are disabled or they're suffering like threatening illness and they come to the club, he's, like, on it. And he represents the club so well. Never anything bad said about him. Like, he don't get into car wrecks. He don't do anything stupid. He don't beat his wife. He's like an upstanding citizen. And he's a genuine guy, so he's just he was just the right player at the wrong time, unfortunately for United.
Do you think he'll be looked back at as like a legend, or is that too strong of a word? Do you think to use for him?
No, I think you have to win titles. Yeah,
I mean, in terms of obviously legends, we talk about Cantona and Beck. I'm not talking about in that kind of sense, but I just think for what he's done, the importance, the period that we've been through, like United's shittest part that's ever existed, basically, going through this part, he's been the one that's dragged us through that almost on his back. So it's almost like you look at the man before it happens. So if we, like I said, we do win a title, we do win a Champions League, when we get there, he's been the man who's carried this on his back up until the point where we're starting to return there. And then you think probably in a few years' time, given the nature and how he plays and the distance that he covers and all these kind of things, I think his body will start breaking down soon. I can see it happening a mile off.
We saw it last year, didn't we? At the end of last year.
He's playing with a broken hand. He's never
been injured. Yeah, he had a broken hand. I think he was out injured for the first time ever, something in his leg. You saw it start to happen, and he's what, in 30 now, 31?
Yeah.
And the amount of games he's played, the amount of minutes he plays, it's already starting to happen. So I think the next 2 or 3 years, I think United need to start thinking about finding the replacement, finding the guy who needs to replace him. Because if you start relying on it and his body starts breaking down, you're in trouble at that point.
Well, Shreyas,
Bruno is a fan. Sorry, go on.
No, please.
I think Bruno is a fan favorite, but I don't get caught up in the whole, it's what he cares and all that kind of stuff. For me, it's like what you actually do on the pitch. I understand that's a big part of it as well, but I think that what that does is that it then allowed him to get away with certain things where,
I get that.
Basically, he's not held up to the same standards as a lot of players. He gets overlooked in certain things, and I think we need to be careful with the way we sort of, because, I mean, I don't know, Victor Lindelof doesn't we never hear about his private life, and he's probably a very upstanding guy, but no one really talks about that. It sounds like he probably cares just as much. There's a lot of players that care just as much, but Bruno's a lot more expressive, so then fans kind of jump on that sort of thing. But I get that. As a leader, as a top player, as leader of in our team, you need to have people with that sort of outstanding sort of
representation,
attitude. So I do get that. He has to. He's a very good example for youngsters and stuff. So that's brilliant, and I like that. But I just think we need to be careful with the way we, we could get trapped in this
celebrate it too much. Do you think?
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, he's been, of course, I mean, he was a shining light, especially in his first season when he came in, and he's kind of tried to keep up that sort of thing. So but I'm just careful with the way he's being branded around.
Well, we're going to need him, Shreyas, for the next couple of games. Obviously, in the immediate future, we've got Ipswich next, and Amarin said on this game, says we need to win. It's a different game. We proved that we can make a very good game, but then in the next game, we have the momentum, but don't show the best way to play. So what we need to do is work during the week and do it in the game, what we work on in training, because we're still not showing it. In our last 10 results as well, just to give you a bit of a perspective, we've had 6 wins, 3 losses, and 1 draw, which feels extremely bizarre to me.
Mm-hmm.
We've only lost to Spurs, Palace, and Brighton. We've beaten
We
Arsenal.
Had the Europa League.
Yeah, we've beaten Arsenal, Southampton, Rangers, Fulham, FCSB, and Leicester in the last 10 games. which is like, it feels weird. It feels so bizarre.
Feels like we lost 6 in a row, man.
I know. It's strange. It's very, very strange.
It results in isolation. You think, oh, that's not bad, that run.
Yeah.
And then you look at the performances, you're like,
the Leicester one was the Fulham was such a shit
Southampton
game.
till like 89 minutes was fucking terrible.
Ahmad. Rangers was fucking ropey towards the end.
Yeah.
Arsenal, obviously, 10 men, missed a penalty. Like, this context is important in this conversation. But the one thing I wanted to ask, we're not going to do, obviously, an Ipswich preview or anything like that, but important for them, Shreyas, to start from minute one instead of, because we keep going into games at the moment, don't we, where we literally don't turn up until the 70th and decide to do something. How do you change that?
Next season we can change that. Right now we can only wish. So
I've got an idea.
Just pray.
I've got an idea. I saw it on Twitter. Somebody a really good point. We're trying to save costs and cost cutting measures. Let's only pay the players for the amount of minutes where they put an effort in and we play well.
Can you imagine
so for
that?
20 minutes, you get paid. Those 20 minutes against Everton, that's what you get paid for. For the rest of it, you don't get paid. So you don't get paid unless you play. Yeah, you get paid like the amount of times you play. So if they start off shit, you don't get money for the first half. You only get money for like the second half.
You get bonuses for like distance covered as well. Casemiro will be fucked. He'd have about 6 kilometers.
You get bonuses for stringing together more than 3 passes in a row. That's what you get, because we can't fucking do that either.
But it's important to start off Brighton at Shreyas in this game, because I'm sick of going into them where it's just like, first half probably going to be difficult. They're probably going to score. Second half, you're wishing on a start, and hopefully a player will turn up in a moment. Ahmad, Bruno, whoever that is.
Yeah, and look.
Sorry, I know this is a question for Shreyas, but Nick, if you're talking about starting off start, like when we played Ipswich, remember we scored in like 10 seconds.
Yeah. Everyone's like, Amarinde!
That was against Ipswich. So like,
Did it happen in 2 games? Did we do it 2 games in a row?
Yeah.
We did, yeah.
Good
so
times.
like we can start off well. We just need to keep be consistent. But sorry, sure, that was your question anyway. I just started mentioning that.
Yeah, and look, like I said a lot of times, this is probably match of the season for us. If Ipswich win that game, they might, just edge, bridge that gap by 3 points. And if we drop just by even, 1 position, it's going to be a panic season all over for us. So I think now is probably the time, at least against Ipswich at home, even if it's like a 1-0 win where we get a jammy penalty, I'll take it. So at least, just get some results in. Because I'm tired of, actually seeing us dragging ourselves just to draws by the time the, timer hits, by the time the full time whistle actually goes. And this is the first time that, I've seen the Europa League so winnable. And then I look at our performances and I just feel not a chance that we can actually win this competition, because the only tough team we might actually face will come by the time we reach the semis. Till then,
Shreyas, arguably the toughest team is the next team, Real Sociedad, because we don't do well against them.
I
think if it was any other team in the Prem who played even decent enough football,
just
like
no Premier League teams, please.
Yeah, and like if it wasn't us and it was like Brighton or even Fulham playing against Sociedad, they would smack them 3 or 4-0.
Yeah,
because Sociedad aren't playing good. They're 11th or 12th in La Liga.
If we got Brighton in the Europa League, I'd just call it a day.
Oh,
honestly, I'd be like,
destroyed. We're just getting destroyed.
We are absolutely out of this competition. So you make a good
when
point.
They were doing the FA Cup, when they were doing the FA Cup draws, I was just like, please, God, just don't give us
Brighton. Get Brighton. Don't get Brighton.
Don't get Brighton or Tottenham.
When United came out first in the hat, didn't they? I was like, oh God, here we go. It's going to be Brighton, isn't it? You see, United, Brighton at home. I was like, we're just going to get kicked here.
You're done for, innit? So, you actually do. Even like a Palace, if you got Palace in the cup, you just be like, you know what I mean? Just a bogey team for us. Yeah. And Europa League, you're like, is there we'll do this and then we'll finish off on the quick fire questions, right? Just as a quick kind of poll.
Yeah.
On the Europa League, percentage wise, where are we at in terms of internal belief that we can do something in the competition?
If we get past Sociedad, I think we've got a really good chance. But I think Sociedad's such an issue. It's such a big
pass
issue.
the ball well.
You know what's crazy? A month ago, my belief was like 80%. Like 80%, 85%.
What killed it? What killed him?
Ahmad. Ahmad
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
being
Ahmad
in
being
there.
out. Okay.
Holland's recent form
Yeah.
is like 25%. Like
Wow.
because if we get past Sociedad, we
Yeah.
might face Lyon.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Might be
you could do
Lyon.
them.
Yeah.
You could do Leon. You could do Leon.
Can we?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think
I don't
so.
know.
I think Sociedad is a Sociedad is a big problem because every
Listen,
single time we face them, it's been a dog
Yeah.
shit game and we got beat 1-0
Yeah.
every fucking time. And I
Leon-
hate
No,
it.
that's we
And I
beat
went-
them 1-0.
Remember Old Trafford?
Yeah.
Do you remember Old Trafford with the dodgy? Like I hated
Yeah.
that game. I
Yeah, it was
hated it
annoying.
so much.
Yeah. So that's the thing, because if we beat them, then we go to Lyon. I'm not confident. I'm happier with like an FFCB. You know, one of those.
Yeah.
Pauk.
One of those. Yeah. One of those.
Joe
teams that if you
Amarin's
give
saying
me
the
one of
exact
them-
same thing in
Ammonia.
the mirror now. Amarin's looking in the
Yeah.
mirror and he's going, "I'm happy with FC. I'll take
Yeah.
it. Let him in the semis,
Yeah,
please,
We do.
please."
What was the Moldovan team? We had Ammonia. What was the Moldovan
Ammonia,
team?
Ammonia Sheriff.
Sheriff.
Sheriff,
was another
yeah,
one.
that's the
Yeah.
Galacio one. I want those
Give me
guys.
one of
Give me
them.
those guys.
And we'll shamelessly
Yeah.
win the Europa League. Shamelessly
Yeah.
win it. Yeah, like who did you have on the lead up, on the build up to it? We had FCSB,
Sheriff.
Sheriff,
The
Victoria.
Sheriff. Yeah.
and we played Victoria
Final
Pleasing in the final.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, man. Honestly,
Wow.
so yeah, a month ago I was confident, but now I look at the teams, I'm like, we're not going to beat them. We can't beat them. Yeah, we're struggling against like literally all of them now. A month ago it was like, oh yeah, we'll beat these guys, but then now I don't know, like we have to beat Sociedad first, and then I can even dream of anything
Yeah.
else.
We might get Fenerbahce in the semis if we do go through.
I'm gonna fucking love it if I'm not gonna love finishing low in the table.
Don't say
but
that.
If,
Please
no,
don't say
no, I have to. If we finish 16th or 17th, right, and we win the Europa League, and we get into the Champions League, that is just that is such shit housery, that isn't it?
I'll rub it in.
Do you know what I mean?
everybody.
And we
Like
can't
close,
put it in
close
the
to
competition again.
relegation, close to relegation, and you win the fucking
Yeah.
Europa League. It's like, oh my
Europa
god.
League, like,
Just
oh
give me
my
the
God.
Champions League next year, and you look like the
It's
dinner
like
guest
that.
who wasn't invited.
Yeah.
But everybody else is eating succulent meals, and we just turn up like, "Ah,
Yeah.
it's
What's going on, boys? What's going on?
Well, that'll
I'm
be-
sure if we-
listen,
if we-
that'll be go on,
I
Shreyas.
think if we somehow do manage to get relegated, that's when I'll be sure we are winning the Europa League.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of it.
relegated to-
That would be the most united thing ever. Because if you think about it, like we just fucking win. This is what we do. I swear down, this is what we do. Like,
It is.
yeah, if it's like a league or whatever, that's different. But one-off games, if we
Yeah.
manage to come our way to the final, we're winning that thing. One-off games is just
Especially-
pull off some stupid.
Especially against
Especially,
two good teams, we managed to actually
Yeah.
pull something out.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
we, if we like, face like Athletic Club in the final, I'll have more faith in actually winning. If we
Yeah.
face someone like Bodo Glimt, I'll be scared.
In the final.
That's
Oh, no.
especially
Maybe.
we win when people basically give us zero
Yeah.
chance of
Nothing.
winning.
Yeah.
That's when we win
Nothing.
shit.
Yeah,
Like people go, yeah, they've got no chance of winning this, and that's when we show up. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
City last year, fucking Bayern Munich in the treble winning final, we're 1-0 down. It's the 91st minute. Everyone's like, oh, Bayern Munich win a trophy, and then we fucking win.
PSG.
That's what we
Remember
do.
PSG?
It's
We were
all
all
the
there.
time.
Like,
PSG.
PSG,
It happens all
yeah.
the time.
Is what we fucking do. If you look at how many trophies, I think I've mentioned this before. Like there's a guy we argue every single day in the gym. Like we talk about football and all that. And he was and I asked, he's an Arsenal fan. I asked him, I was like, when last did you play a final? And he had to think to remember when last he was in a final. And I'm like, I could tell you the last three times.
We had 2 last year. We
Yeah,
had
yeah.
2.
Two finals.
yeah.
Like how
Crazy.
shit are we? And we're in finals. Like this is what
Yeah.
we do. Honestly, so I would not be surprised.
Crazy.
Yeah.
By the way,
Right.
Nick, I wanted to
Sorry.
put this quote in before you get to the quick questions. Somebody overheard at the Everton game, but why we were losing. Shall we leave early? No, I need to boo them at full time.
Dedication, that's what that is. Commitment. I'll tell you what, if the players had the same commitment as that, we'd be a lot higher up the table.
I know. I don't want to leave early and miss
Yeah.
the traffic. No, I want to
No,
stay
I
and
wanna
boo
boo.
them.
just
Yeah.
do them.
I want to make sure that 3-hour tram journey is fucking worth it by the end of it. Yeah, make sure it's worth it. Right, let's finish on these quick fires. Just please one short answer to kind of finish off with. So it's 5 questions. Shreyas, Civir, and then Sam. I'll do it in that order, okay? Favorite niche United player, Shreyas. So maybe someone who isn't an obvious one, but someone you was always a fan of.
Sergio Romero.
Oh,
That's a good one.
that's a good
That's
one.
a good
I really like them.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
best reserve goalkeeper ever
Ever.
Yeah.
by far.
Civir.
Can I say Carrick? Is that too
Yeah.
out there? Or?
No, I think it's neat. It's not a
Carrick or
Scholes, it's not a
Hargreaves?
Keane. Hargreaves, I would say,
Yeah.
is more.
Hargreaves is a good one.
Yeah.
Hargreaves.
Carrick
Yeah,
or Hargreaves. I love
Hargreaves.
Hargreaves. Man.
Owen
Absolutely.
Hargreaves. Sam?
The obvious answer is Ander Herrera, but I think I've spoke on that too much. I'll pick somebody else. Kagawa.
Kagawa.
I wanted that to work
Indeed.
so badly. I so wanted that to work, and it just didn't. It just really didn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't
about you,
that
Nick?
bad. People make it seem.
No,
like
he
it's
wasn't that
terrible.
bad, but he wasn't as
Wasn't that
good
bad, yeah.
as what he was at
Yeah.
Dortmund. That's that, yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Am I doing one as well? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've put myself on the spot now. Why have I done this question and not thought about my own one? Favorite niche.
Just pull a name.
Trying to
Come on,
think.
Paddy McNair. Oh,
Paddy
Paddy
McNair.
McNair,
Tyler Blackett.
Jesus Christ. Tyler Blackett. Oh my goodness me.
Borthwick Jackson.
I'm trying to think of him. You're naming fucking names, and now I can't think. Every time I get, I'm like, oh, he could, and then you go Borthwick Jackson, and I'm like, I can't think of one.
James Wilson.
Parky Sung.
Park Ji-sung.
Hey.
A goal against us that you respected. So when you watched an opposition come and you're like, oh my god.
Chivy, should we just say R9 at Old Trafford?
That would be too easy.
That's a tap in.
It is. It's true, though, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's true.
A goal
Everybody in
you've
the
watched
ground
against
just
us
went,
and you've just
fuck it,
gone,
just-
oh my god, I can't believe he's just
Fair
scored
play.
that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Are we
mean?
going Shreyas and then yeah.
Well, at this point, it's chaotic in it, so let's just do any order.
Yeah, by the time I
do you
started
remember?
seeing, I used to go up every single time.
Trying to think.
Do you
someone who
remember
scored-
Gundogan against the one where we came back on 1-3?
The volley?
Well, there was one where he spun round. He spun a player and literally just slid it in.
Yeah.
I was like fair play, like good ball. That's my one.
Lumen's just put Jemba in the chat. I can't believe he's put that guy in there. That's ridiculous, Lumen. Not having him. I'm not having Jemba. Like, not having it.
I'm trying to think of one way. You sat down and you can't. A lot of times you moan about
Yeah.
a goal in it, and you go like, "Oh, fucking hell, fucking jammy bastard." And one way you just sat back and gone, "Do you know what? Fuck off." Like maybe I think Cunha scored against recently from a corner and it went straight in, and I was like, "What on earth do you do about that?" 'Cause the precision on it is like it's literally gone perfectly, fucking barring in basically. Incredible.
You can pick like 2 Ruben Neves rockets
Neves.
that he scored against us.
Yeah,
he
Neves
scored,
scored
like,
a
2
few
rockets,
bangers against us, didn't he?
Moutinho against us. That was a very
Moutinho.
good goal.
Another
Yeah.
one. Yeah, we've had a few.
One
Right,
Mata for Chelsea.
the free
Mm,
kick. Was it the free kick?
Yeah.
That he
Yeah.
scored. Yeah. Didn't Ronaldo score against us as well, like a volley?
Yeah,
Ronaldo
Real
sure.
Madrid.
Yeah. Scored a header and a volley.
Yeah. Oh god. Right, let's move on from that. One player you would take from a bottom 3 team.
Cunha.
Oh, straight on it.
Cunha is a good shout.
Who's bottom 3?
Ipswich,
Leicester.
Southampton, and Leicester.
Leicester.
I take the lap.
Delap?
Yeah, Delap.
Oh, Sam's beat you to it there, Chivir. Now you're under pressure, mate.
Don't beat me to it. All right. Ipswich. What's the João Gomez? The midfield.
João Gomez.
Oh,
Wolves.
João Gomez
He's
from
good.
Wolves.
Ait Nori from
Wolves,
Wolves.
Yeah.
Eight
Eight
Nori
Nori
would
is
have
another one.
Yeah, Eight
Yeah.
Nori would have been the one I went for. Choose a walkout. Let's say one of you get to walk out at United, yeah, with the team. What walkout song would you have? What would you play in the stadium?
Mhm.
Oh,
Have to
that
go
one's
with something
it's quiet,
goofy,
isn't
man.
it? Everyone's dead quick
I don't-
to jump to something.
I don't know if this will play through Discord, but let's see.
Hope we don't get banned.
You won't get copyrighted, right?
No,
That's not good.
turn it up. Is it playing?
Not working.
No.
Not working.
Yeah.
I can't hit it, mate. What is it?
Hold on. You guys come up with it. I'm going to send Nick the link. See if he can play it on stream just for 10
I'll
Okay.
go with something silly. Something stupid. No, not stupid. Silly. Like Like maybe like one of the Scottish bagpipes. That's just stupid.
Would you have the
I'm so-
bagpipe come out
I'm
in
too-
front
I'm
of you as well,
serious,
Timmy,
yeah.
just like that?
I'm
just
so
come out?
unserious for this kind of things. Like, yeah, I'm serious.
I
I need to see that now. I need to see that. Just Chivy coming out to a bagpiper. I think you broke Nick with that one.
It was the way he went. Wee, wee, wee. It sounded almost like what's that Pharrell? Is it a Pharrell song where it says wee?
Oh, no, it's,
No, it's
wee,
Little
wee.
Wayne, Lollipop.
Oh
Is it
no,
Yeah,
it's
that
not
one.
Lollipop. It's
No, not Lollipop.
Mrs.
It's
Officer.
Lil Wayne. It's Lil Wayne.
Mrs. Officer,
yeah.
Mrs. Officer
Wee,
with
wee,
the
wee.
Valentino.
Yeah. Maybe you can come back to that. Let's go back to that song. Sorry,
I'm
Shreyas.
too unserious for these things. Go on.
I'll probably go. You remember during COVID there was this song, with 5 guys with a coffin on on their shoulders.
Yeah.
Oh, the Zimbabwe dancers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember it.
That's what I'll.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, those African guys with the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, check your WhatsApp, Nick.
Okay, I'd have Eminem to like a lapse just to throw
I
it
love
out there.
Casemiro in that coffin whenever I used to go into game.
Oh, this is a great shout, Sam. I don't know if it'll play.
Insurance free bet.
It should do if you've got audio to your thing.
Okay, well, I'll wait.
And big odds
This is
boosts.
an add-on, so
It's a
let
gaffer
me
of an
quickly
acca
skip
from
through this.
Ladbrokes.
This is the song, if people can hear it.
I think you need to unmute the audio.
No, it's playing through the audio.
No, it's not. We can't hear it.
No, you can't hear it, but it's going through OBS, obviously, isn't it?
Hold
So.
on. Let me.
You know, can come out to the capybara thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that song. You remember when Punk walked out Money in the Bank 2011 to Cena and his contract was ending?
yeah.
That's what he came out to, and I've never felt a buzz like that watching somebody come out to something. So I'm
Yeah.
like, that's what I'd use.
One of my favourite tunes as
Sorry,
well.
Chivy, it's wrestling talk. Sorry.
Yeah. Makes a change from teabag talk anyway. Lumen said, wasn't Igalo a better poacher in the box than Cavani? I mean, that is a strong, controversial.
I highly disagree.
Highly disagree. Neil,
Hey,
to scroll.
Bad, though.
Is what?
It wasn't that bad in the box.
No, but he's not Cavani, though, is
Yeah,
he?
Cavani's like an
Yeah.
elite poacher, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to a few more comments and I'll read the last quick fire question
Sure.
out. Tyler Diblin from Southampton's a great shout. Forest just scored
Yeah.
against Newcastle. Shit, I forgot that game was on. Yeah, we'll wrap it up
Ooh.
in a second. People saying afternoon. I had the same thought with Ten Hag and Chaos. Remember when Onana first joined and told Maguire off for poor defending? Lol. Yeah. Do remember
Oh
that.
yeah.
Long time
with,
ago.
John O'Shea as a niche shout. That's a good shout. I like John O'Shea.
And the last question to see us out. Name the year we finally win a Premier League title.
What we in 2025?
2026.
It's been 84 years.
Oh, gosh, Shreyas. Have you
To
seen
win
a
it.
Premier
What's the
League
project?
win, Shreyas?
What does
You watched-
Barada
I
said?
have, yeah, the last
Okay.
Sir Alex's last one was the one
Okay.
I saw. That was the
Barada
first.
said,
that was the first time I was seeing it, and I thought, okay, maybe we are used to winning these.
I'll support
Next season,
United.
boys
Never
win.
happened again. It never happened again.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I was. This is not the Van Persie I'm used to seeing. This is not the sort of team I'm used to seeing.
Yeah.
Tim 99 just put 2050. Anyone else want to go as bold?
Good shout.
I'm gonna go with Barada's vision, where he said 28.
2028.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
I'll go
that is
2027.
bold.
I'll go 2027.
2027?
Yeah.
Shreyas, you need to look up the odds on that and put a bet on it, mate, because that isn't.
2027. I say 2032.
I say I'll go in between. I'll say 2029. So we'll
There we
miss
have it.
the year and we'll do it the year after.
One
When
of us
do
is
you
bound
think
to be
we'll win
right.
the Champions League?
Oh, too long. Just miles away.
Whenever, if Real Madrid don't qualify 1 year, then maybe
That's
we
never
will
going
do
to
it.
happen.
But
Learn to
Yeah.
walk before you can run, and then we need to think about getting back
I
in the
think
top
the
half.
Champions League is actually easier to win than the Prem. to be
Oh,
fair.
yeah.
Oh no,
definitely
you're
is.
going to open a book of worms now. You're open a book of worms.
Oh, yeah, it's just the
competition.
luck of
It's
the
a
draw.
knockout. It's a knockout competition.
Okay.
Luck of the draw, man.
Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. Please do smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Hopefully you've enjoyed the Sunday social. It's been fun to get back on a Sunday. I do like these kind of shows. So yeah, there's other Premier League football on, so go and enjoy it. Drop us a follow on all our socials, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that good stuff. You already know by now. We've just gone past 13k subscribers on stream as well, which is absolutely amazing. So yeah,
Sick.
appreciate every single one of you. Appreciate Shreyas, Chivy, and